Good evening. I'm Heather Patrick. I'm the president and CEO of Prevent Blindness Texas. And thank you so much for being here tonight so we can celebrate Dr. Nancy Webb. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are. We're a staff of 8 around the state. We have a board of 17 and hundreds of volunteers. And our partners are fantastic. Partners like the University of Houston, UTMB, and they are in the room. And of course, all of you, donors. We couldn't do our work without support. What do? Let me tell you what we do. We advocate for those people that don't have a voice. We give them a voice. We educate so people know where they can get services, what resources are available. And we improve access to care. This year alone, we have served almost 60,000 people across the state of Texas. Last year, we served over 40. So in 2 years, that's over 100,000 people across the state. Just for a little perspective, 5 years ago when I came, we were serving about 13,000 people. The pandemic, we didn't stop. We served about 10,000. So in the span of 2 years, basically, 10,000 to 60,000, all with the same amount of staff. That's a testament to the incredible base of volunteers we have across the state, an incredible staff, and a very strategic and dedicated board. So if you're on the board, please, or a former board member, please stand at this time. Thank you for your leadership and service to PBT. Why PBT? Why do we matter? We matter because we change lives every single day. And why us? Well, you tell me. With a staff of 8 that can serve 60,000, I would say that's a great investment. Our ultimate goal is to obviously preserve sight, but really it's to elevate the vision conversation. Everybody should be able to understand the connection between overall health and vision, and everybody should be able to access care. This is a solvable problem right now, but if we don't do something, if we don't change the interventions, if we don't expand access to care, soon it won't be. It will be overwhelming and an epidemic. So this is why we do nights like tonight, so we can bring people together to have the conversation on how we make change, to celebrate those that have made the path forward, like Dr. Webb, trailblazing, changing care, making life great for her patients, and helping organizations like PBT. So, on your table, you have a couple things. Blindfolds and glasses. Okay. So throughout the night, we're going to challenge you to put on your blindfolds, because part of the reason we do tonight is so you have the opportunity, even for a minute, to see what it's like to live life with a vision challenge. So we want you to take that challenge. Will you do it? Will you put the blindfold on? Will you see what it's like, even just for a minute, for those that have vision challenges? And then, because we always have a couple who withhold, the night will go dark. At some point, we won't tell you, but it will go completely dark. And part of the experience will be then, too, what senses kick in because you can't see. And then the last piece is, there are glasses on your table. So who knows what happens on October 14th this year? Anybody? There's a solar eclipse. Yeah, so there's a partial solar eclipse on October 14th, and then there's a full eclipse on April 8th, 2024. The epicenter for both is San Antonio. Texas, anywhere in Texas, you'll be able to see both solar eclipses. But it's imperative that you have the right eyewear on to protect your sight. So we've given you these glasses tonight. You're welcome. All right, so we will have a little bit of music, a little bit of fun, some great food, and then we will spend the evening honoring our guest, Dr. Webb, and all the amazing things she has done. I have known Dr. Webb for a long time. I don't know if she remembers, but I'm a Delta Gamma, and one of my very first gigs for the Houston Delta Gamma Foundation, I was an event chair, and she was one of the women of vision that we honored. This was 20 plus years ago, and I remember being so in awe of you, truly, just remarkable, a remarkable woman, just dynamic. And then when I came to work at PBT, I had the opportunity to work with her at our very first dark dining. And she's been here ever since supporting us. Last year, she was on our women's health panel and talked about her experience and advice for women in healthcare. And so I stand here, and it's just full circle for me, professionally and personally, to be able to honor you, Dr. Webb. So thank you for being here tonight. So I'm going to bring up Sharona Washington Lockett, and she's going to share some information with you as well. Please enjoy your dinner, and we'll be back after Sharona to continue the program. Thank you again for being here.
I'm going to be quick so that y'all can enjoy eating. Hi, my name is Sharona Washington Lockett. How did I get in the vision field? Interesting enough, I was born into it. I was born with a congenital cataract. I've had over a dozen eye surgeries, and actually some of you in the room have performed those on me. Also, I have been in graduate medical education for a long time, and so I have all kind of interesting experience regarding ophthalmology. I am a current board member for PBT, and it's such an honor and a pleasure. I've actually been able to speak with Dr. Webb. We were on the panel together. It was awesome. She has a wealth of information and knowledge. I can't wait to hear her speak. It's a privilege to be a part of PBT, and we want to thank our sponsors. First, we have brilliant sponsors, University of Houston College of Optometry and Houston Delta Gamma Foundation. We have our FLAIR sponsors, Kelsey Research Foundation, Dr. Jim and Betty Key, Dr. Douglas Koch, James and Delia Stroud, Dr. Downey and Edna Price, and Rev BT and Robin Williamson, UTMB Health, and Ray and Nina VTech. Thank you. All these generous people and organizations recognize crucial role PBT plays in vision services and in public health in Texas. They have taken the time to support BBT and honor Dr. Nancy Webb. We thank you for joining us tonight and showing your support to the life-changing work of PBT as we work each and every day to prevent blindness and preserve sight. We are going to learn more about the mission tonight as we hear from Dr. Webb and others in the vision space like myself. As we listen and learn, we know you will feel inspired to get involved. We don't want to wait until the end of the evening to let you know how you can join us. So everyone grab your programs under your plates. I know it's under there somewhere. Do you see your QR code on the front? Scan it with your phone, or if you're not that savvy, text GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 210-934-3004, which will immediately take you to our event page, which you can give in honor to Dr. Webb. Any amount you give tonight will help us reach this target and be a tax-deductible donation to PBT. Who doesn't like that? PBT can accomplish so much with your donations. $100 can help us identify a child in need of eye care and change their life. As I stated in the beginning of this, I was a child who would have been in need. So when you make that donation, think about that. Our auction is also open throughout the night and will close at 8:45. On the back of your program, that same program we pulled out from under your plate, there's another QR code and the text number for donation I mentioned earlier. We have a great auction tonight. I encourage you to register so you'll be alerted when your friend outbids you. You don't want someone else to get your Omni Resort room and leave you home alone. These packages are fun ways to support PBT and also win great items. The auction instructions are in your program, so look over them before you get involved in this delicious food that's on its way. At the beginning of the evening, we enjoyed pictures spanning Dr. Webb's long career. She also included photos showing her love of the piano. Because of this, we have a pianist here tonight to play for us as we enjoy our meals. I look forward to experiencing dark dining with you, so let us go on with the show. Thank you.
All right, we're going to get started with the next part of the evening. I'm going to let everyone continue to enjoy their dinner, but we're going to go ahead and get started with the next part. I'd like to bring up Dr. Amy Coburn. One of the great things about this job and being in this industry is that there are amazing people across the board and the connections that are made. So with that, I'd like to bring up Dr. Amy Coburn so she can talk about several people that are part of Dr. Webb's life, and then we'll move into Dr. Price and Dr. Webb. So Dr. Coburn.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here to honor our friend Nancy Webb. In 1983, I was a Baylor College of Medicine medical student, nervous, self-conscious, trying to decide between a career in cardiology and ophthalmology, and I was privileged to have the lucky opportunity to study under Dr. Nancy Webb. It was a popular rotation. We all thought we were lucky to get it. We learned how to take care of patients by watching Dr. Webb work with her trademark efficiency and skill. But we learned more than how to refract and see a four-lid bleph and lightning, smooth, perfectly executed cataract surgery. We learned about how to be a doctor operating with the highest moral compass and the highest standard of ethics. In an era when women were not integrated into medicine and not respected routinely, we saw collegiality and respect and opportunity within her team. In a time when decorum in the operating room was not uniformly high, we saw surgery done with professionalism and a woman with poise and compassion. In a world where patients were beginning to be processed and pushed through, Nancy's patients were taken seriously, and she listened attentively and took care of their problems with care and looked at them as people. And in a time when I was glad that I could show up to work with 2 matching shoes, Nancy Webb was on time, beautifully dressed, with perfect hair, even coming out of a scrub cap. Nancy, how did you do that? And while she was running her high volume, excellent practice, we all knew that Nancy had adorable children and a great husband, and she was nurturing them and focused on both her care with patients, but also in the outside world. In short, Nancy was inspirational. As the years passed, and I became a resident in ophthalmology and a practitioner, I learned more from watching Dr. Webb. I watched her as she attended all the Cullen courses. The Academy of Ophthalmology was knowledgeable about the current journals. She kept up and maintained the highest standards of knowledge. But beyond that, she applied her knowledge and her skills with actions that were even more inspirational. She used her power to cure by bringing care to the most underserved in the world with BMI. She used her power of compassion to help the most neglected in Houston with the way station at Palmer. She used her power of organization to bring leadership to the flagship eye care organizations in Houston and nationally. And her legacy of strengthening organizations, such as the Lighthouse, has led to work and strength and substance. She's example to many of the potential that we all have if we step outside ourselves to engage with the wider world, and the world is a much better place because of Nancy. It's a better place because of the vision she's restored, the organization she's strengthened, the family she's raised, and the generations of doctors that she's inspired. We owe Nancy gratitude, and please raise your glasses in a toast to Nancy. Thank you, Nancy.
Good evening. Humility, compassion, patience, and flexibility are invaluable when working as a humanitarian physician in an underserved country. It's been said you have to think creatively, and you have to look at everything from every angle possible, and then come across a plan that will adapt and be satisfactory to the local people. So it has to respect local conditions, cultures, techniques, politics, resources, educational backgrounds, as well as social norms. Nancy Webb has done all those things on so many trips. The World Health Organization says there are 2.1 billion people in the world who have impaired vision. Half of those are due to uncorrected refractive errors. The other half are due to glaucoma and cataracts, diabetic retinopathy. So 90% of those cases are found in underserved and developing countries. There are ophthalmologists and optometrists who are willing to donate their time and volunteer to help reduce the darkness and visual impairment in the world. And one of those is Nancy Webb. She's done a great job. And because of this desire to reduce impaired vision and blindness, Nancy and David Webb joined up with Benevolent Missions International in 1997. BMI is a nonprofit, tax-exempt, publicly supported organization whose main goal is to provide pro bono medical and surgical eye care for underserved countries. BMI actually started in Conroe in the 1970s. And over the years, the volunteer teams of BMI have examined and treated more than 150,000 patients, and in surgery have performed 50,000 eye surgeries. And with the help of churches and with the help of Lions Club and with the help of pharmaceutical companies, particularly Alcon, and also people who want to help out. With all those, BMI has been able to build clinics and surgery centers in Haiti, Belize, El Salvador, and Bolivia. Been able to equip clinics and operating rooms in American Samoa and Fiji. We've sent surgical teams to Costa Rica and medical teams to Burundi, Central Africa. Nancy became very active in BMI and worked on many teams. For more than a quarter of a century, she's worked in both clinic and surgery. In surgery, she performed many cataract and pterygium operations. And she got great satisfaction in seeing some of these patients that present in underserved countries who have mature cataracts and light perception vision. And the next day, they can see their family. She's also worked in the clinic, and she has seen her patients have their impaired vision taken care of because it was due to refractive error. They got glasses. And also they got screened for glaucoma, and if they had glaucoma, they got treated for it. And also, slit lamp exams are done to check for cataracts and to look for corneal disease. And dilated fundus exams done to look at the optic nerve, macula, retina, retinal vessels. So this has been a real important thing for Nancy, accomplishing all this. And Nancy has contributed a lot to BMI. Everything we've asked her to do, she's done it promptly and graciously. And she's been serving on the board for a number of years, and in 2016 was actually named president of Benevolent Missions International. And she's done an outstanding job. She took a very small group of us down to Belize to clean out all the out-of-date medications in the clinic and bring our equipment up to date. And we also met there with a representative from the Ministry of Health to discuss our trip in June, which will be the first time in 3 years because of COVID. So she is really a compassionate ophthalmologist and really strives to reduce impaired vision and blindness. So we want to honor her tonight, not only for what she's done in Houston, but in underserved countries around the world. Nancy.
The act of loving is to give some of yourself away. My mom is someone who is born with so much natural ability and so much to give. But her giving didn't stop at work. It didn't stop on the mission trip. She gave and continues to give so much of herself at home. She always made time for my sister and me. She was always available, and she's never retired from that. Her giving of herself continues to this day. It is a mystery, almost something magic, to see the result of her work on a mission trip. When someone comes in with chalk white cataracts, totally blind, and when you pull the patch off after surgery, they are fully sighted with 20/20 vision. My mother's love is nothing short of magic. Thank you all for honoring my mother this evening. It is my hope to live life in a manner which honors Nancy Webb, a lady with so much to give, who has given us all so much. And I'll give you Nancy Webb.
Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Downey, and thank you, Alexander, for your very, very kind words. And good evening, everyone. I'm both thrilled and humbled to have been chosen as the Dark Dining Honoree for 2023. I applaud Prevent Blindness and all you do on a daily basis with your sight-saving programs and services. I've appreciated being on your eye stroll for vision many times in the Houston Zoo, also being one of your panelists on your Women's Health and Vision Symposium, and attending the Dark Dining dinner event every year. As an ophthalmologist, I've also enjoyed being one of your partners in prevention for many, many years and providing free eye exams to your needy clients. Thank you for honoring me this evening. Before I get into the details of what an exciting life I've led as an eye surgeon, I want to personally thank all the sponsors of this event. The Houston Delta Gamma Foundation, the University of Houston College of Optometry, Kelsey Research Foundation, UTMB Health, Dr. Jim and Betty Key, Dr. Doug Koch, Delia and Jim Stroud, Nina and Ray Vitek, Edna and Dr. Downey Price, and Robin and B.T. Williamson. Downey, who spoke, didn't mention that he and B.T. are actually the co-founders of BMI, Benevolent Missions International. To all of you sponsors, I truly and sincerely appreciate your generosity. I'm also so appreciative of all of you who are in attendance this evening, including 6 of my college sorority sisters, Robin from Oklahoma City, Mary from Arlington, Shannon from Austin, as well as Linda, Jeannie, and Carolyn from Houston. And I'm so grateful for sharing this evening with my personal family, my Kelsey Siebold family, and my Palmer Church family. I want to thank a few people who've had a particular impact on my life, starting with my sister Sally, who is 7 years older. She is now a retired college professor, but at the age of 4, I was actually her first student. She would seat me in front of the blackboard in our basement in Chicago and teach me. She taught me French, the alphabet, and arithmetic. Sometimes I wanted to quit. I'd say, I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of these lessons. And she said, well, okay, you can quit, but you will fail. And even at age 4, I knew that was something that didn't sound like I wanted to do. I'm also delighted that Dr. Milton Boniek and Lori are here tonight. I learned so much from Milton as his Baylor Ophthalmology resident, fellow, and associate for a span of 5 years. He was an invaluable mentor to me, and I will be forever indebted to him for the clinical knowledge and wisdom which he shared with me. Thank you, Milton. I also want to recognize Jim and Betty Key. Jim asked me to become his associate in ophthalmology at Kelsey Siebold Clinic in July 1980. And that summer, Jim and Betty invited us to Palmer Memorial Episcopal Church, which has been our church home ever since. Thank you, Jim and Betty. There is one additional person I'd like to recognize, and that is my husband of 51 years, David. We met on a blind date while I was working after college in the mouse colony in the Department of Anatomy at Baylor College of Medicine. I was about to become a graduate student in anatomy. He was in Houston as a summer clerk at the law firm of Fulbright and Jaworski. He went back to Harvard Law School after summer to complete his last year. A girlfriend he had in Boston referred to me as the mouse girl, but I managed to win him over anyway. After 1 year of graduate school, I was considering the pros and cons of switching to medical school. David, then my fiance, encouraged and supported me every step of the way to make the change and to pursue my MD degree. He has remained a steadfast supporter and the love of my life to this day. The decision to go to medical school and to marry David are the two best decisions I ever made. Thank you, David. When Heather invited me to be the honoree this year, she asked me to discuss how and why impacting vision has been important to me. My first experience with a visually impaired person resulted in a huge, shocking, and unexpected gift 4 years later. I met Mr. Rudolph Gunther when I was 12 years old. He was a wealthy Wall Street tycoon. He was widowed with no children and in his late 80s. He had developed a severe visual impairment, most likely macular degeneration. I met him because he had hired my father's sister, Aunt Beth, who was a registered nurse. She was hired as a full-time caregiver at his penthouse apartment at 11 25th Avenue overlooking Central Park. We visited Aunt Beth in New York City when I was 12 in 1961. I was moved by the impact visual impairment had on his quality of life. He had all the things money could buy, including a full-time chauffeur and limousine and a penthouse in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in New York. But he did not leave the penthouse due to his visual impairment. We would have breakfast with him in the formal dining room in the morning, and he would present us with the day's itinerary, which he had drafted himself and had presented to us and instructed Charlie, his chauffeur, to take us to those sites that day. As a lifelong New Yorker, Mr. Gunther wanted to make sure that we saw all the important tourist attractions during our 10-day stay in New York. In the evening, we would dine with him again in the formal dining room. He wanted us to share with him our impressions of what we had seen and visited that day. As he listened to us, he was reliving and vicariously enjoying his past sighted days. He knew I played the piano, so after dinner, he and I would adjourn to the living room. I would sit next to him at his 1906 Steinway grand piano, which had previously been played by his wife. I spent hours placing his fingers on the keys to play the notes in Moonlight Sonata and April Showers, his favorite songs that he longed to play again. We said goodbye and returned to Houston after our 10-day stay. When I was 16, we got a call that Mr. Gunther had passed away. We learned that he had left the piano to me in his will, including instructions for it to be shipped to Houston prepaid. It is a treasure which I still enjoy playing. My next encounter with visual impairment was in college. I pledged Delta Gamma sorority at the University of Texas. Delta Gamma's philanthropy, called Service for Sight, began in 1936 when a member who was blind petitioned to adopt Aid to the Blind as the sorority's official philanthropy. Our chapter interacted with students at the Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and we also hosted some social events for them at our sorority house. These early experiences with visual impairment significantly influenced my choice to pursue ophthalmology. I realized how very devastating it is to lose one's sight and became interested in having the opportunity to restore and preserve sight. As a practicing ophthalmologist, I've had the privilege of sharing with many patients and their families the joy of improving their sight and know how that has so positively impacted their lives. It is gratifying to receive words of thanks, thank you notes, and other tokens of appreciation. I once received a refrigerator magnet from a patient, a cataract surgery patient. It had clumps of brightly colored jelly beans on it. She said she wanted me to realize that I'd brought the color back to her world after her cataract surgery. When I first started the practice of ophthalmology at Kelsey-Seybold, I shared a nursing station with the Department of Urology. This one crusty older urologist would grumble when I would receive flowers or gifts from cataract patients. He would often complain, "How come nobody brings me anything when I take out their prostate?" I feel fortunate that I'm in a field where we can share such joy with our patients. My work with BMI, Benevolent Missions International, has brought me some of the most gratifying moments of my career. I vividly remember the Sunday afternoon in the spring of 1997 when Dr. Downey Price, BMI founder, called me. He said, "How would you like to go on a BMI mission to Bolivia this summer?" I gave it some thought, talked to Betty and Jim Key, who had previously been there, and decided to go. Our daughter, Elizabeth, who had just finished her first year of college, joined me. And for me, it was a life-changing experience. We flew to Cochabamba, Bolivia, 25 miles from our mission site. We worked in Malco Rancho, a small village in the Bolivian highlands. The villagers were so eager and grateful to receive our care that many had come to the airport to greet us as we got off the plane. As we traveled to their village, we were greeted by still more villagers lining the bumpy dirt road into their town. Children were waving Bolivian flags, and there was confetti in the air. It was a glorious occasion. We arrived with 40 duffel bags, carrying all of our supplies and equipment. The next day, we began our week of work. We are part of a team of 18 who just worked for months ahead of time, assembling all the supplies we needed to work in our clinic, dispense medications, and perform surgery, primarily cataract surgery. The next day, we opened the clinic. Outside, there were patients who'd been waiting for hours, some even sleeping overnight outside the clinic, so eager to receive our care. We saw the most advanced cataracts I'd ever seen, many having been blind for many years, 5, 10, even more years from cataracts. The morning after cataract surgery, when the patient's eye patch is removed, is a priceless moment. They can see. At last they can see, some who had experienced many years of darkness. The hugs, the tears of joy and jubilation are so touching and moving. We are providing the gift of sight to the people we serve, and they are providing us with the satisfaction of knowing we have improved their quality of life. They now have the ability to be productive in their community and with their family. BMI also became a family affair for me. Our son, Alexander, accompanied me to Belize after his high school graduation, and David has accompanied me on around 20 trips to Fiji, El Salvador, and Belize. Post-COVID, we are resuming our work, the BMI work, in Belize in June 2023, and Alexander and I will be on the team. It will be my 28th BMI mission trip. Through my involvement with Prevent Blindness, the Lighthouse of Houston, and the Houston Delta Gamma Foundation, I know that there are now so many more opportunities for people with low vision. The quality of life of a visually impaired person can now be fulfilling and productive, much more so than when I met Mr. Gunther in New York City in 1961. The Lighthouse has a large campus on West Dallas Street where they offer programs and services, as their mission states, to help the blind and visually impaired at all ages and all stages. Their goal is for their clients to gain independence and lead productive lives. They not only train, but they also employ many blind and visually impaired individuals. One of their annual events, which I always enjoy, is the beeping Easter egg hunt. Plastic eggs have beepers inside, so the children hunt for the eggs using sound instead of sight. The visually impaired children are so eager to participate, and their families are so excited and thrilled to see them enjoying themselves. The Houston Delta Gamma Foundation provides financial support through our grants program to organizations who serve the blind and visually impaired. And there are now a myriad of organizations who are eager to help and improve the lives of the visually impaired. There is Sight Savers America, which provides electronic low vision video equipment to visually impaired children, which allow them to thrive and excel at their schoolwork. There is the iBug Today organization, which assists the visually impaired utilize the pathways on their Android and Apple products to be more productive, enjoy online content and social media. The Guide Dogs of Texas organization in San Antonio trains Labrador retrievers to become guide dogs. Their training is an arduous process. Each puppy begins some training shortly after birth, but not all make the cut to become guide dogs. There's a foster family whose mission is to raise the dog from puppyhood until age 2. The dog is then placed with a guide dog trainer. Can you imagine raising a puppy for 2 years and then giving it up? I truly admire all the individuals who are willing to personally sacrifice to foster and train a dog, which will help a visually impaired person lead a more independent life. There's also the beeping baseball team. The team that we support recently was a serious contender in the World Series of beeping baseball. They have a former NFL player on their team. He lost his vision and never thought he would have a future in sports. But he joined the beeping baseball team and is now thrilled to have involvement in team sports again. Let me say, in conclusion, that my career and my community involvement, both locally and internationally, has been dedicated to restoring and preserving sight and helping those with visual impairment lead more productive lives. I am grateful to Prevent Blindness for the opportunity to share my experiences with you and for the privilege of being their honoree tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that is why we are here tonight. Simply amazing, Dr. Webb. Thank you so much for all you've done. One more time. It is a testament to the power of vision and the power of connection, which is why we're here. So we are going to have the pianist play. So the lights will go dark. Now is the time to do your blindfolds too. But we have a special concert, including some of Dr. Webb's favorite songs and meaningful songs. So this is the part of the night where hopefully you'll hear maybe a little bit better, but you won't be able to see. Thank you again, Dr. Webb. On behalf of PBT, we'd first like to present you. We have all your dedications. We printed them all out for you, so you have a keepsake of all of them. And then the award.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for being our visionary.
Yes.
Thank you. Wow, that's beautiful. Lovely. Thank you very, very much. It's been my honor and privilege to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. What an amazing night tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for celebrating Nancy Webb, as well as Prevent Blindness Texas. My name is Dr. Pat Segu. I'm the former board chair for Prevent Blindness Texas, and it's my honor to do the toast for tonight. Prevent Blindness is near and dear to my heart. They are the boots on the ground in the community. Day in and day out, they're there to screen, identify, educate, and connect patients to care. Again, like I said, they are the boots on the ground. The cases are very hard hit, and again, Prevent Blindness is there every step of the way to improve access to care, to remove those barriers to care. So tonight, we celebrate you, our donors, and those who have committed the work of Prevent Blindness Texas. And we also wanted a special thank you to Dr. Webb for her work as a trailblazer for women and all in the vision space. Please join me in raising your glasses to a toast to Dr. Nancy Webb in honor of her and all that she's done to transform vision care and impact so many lives around the world. To Dr. Webb, our shining light in the midst of darkness, providing hope to so many, we celebrate you. And thank you for being so inspirational. Cheers. Cheers. And again, Prevent Blindness cannot do the work that it needs to do without the support of their sponsors, their donors. So please, don't forget to scan that QR code or text GIVE to 210-934-3004. The number is in your program. Again, the funds will help support the programs and for Prevent Blindness to continue moving forward and making those differences in the lives of so many. Thank you again. Good.
So thank you for spending your evening with us. I know you're as inspired as I am, in awe of Dr. Webb, and just thank you so much again for all you've done. If you were a lucky winner of the auction, you can pick up that item or items on your way out. And lastly, you might be able to find a program on your table. On the back of one of those lucky programs is a heart stamp, and that's for that lucky winner to take home the centerpiece. And if for some reason you can't find it, decide amongst yourselves to take one of those home, but somebody needs to take those flowers home. Thank you so much. Have a great night.